So we looked at how to build our very first console application. And one of the great things about the .NET community is about the documentation that we have right now.
There's a lot of great docs. And I know it's silly sometimes to talk about how great the docs are, but really, the docs are very, very good. If you go to docs.microsoft.com, you can click on .NET, or you can go /.NET. There's a ton of documentation here. There's the .NET Core Guide, which will have tutorials. It'll talk about ASP.NET Core that we're going to talk about as well. And it's worth pointing out the difference between the .NET Core Guide and then the language guides.
Yeah, and you'll see there are different language guides. We have VB, we have C#, we have F#.
Right, so these are the guides that will give you understanding of the syntax of the language and how to call the methods, and then the .NET Core framework itself, and all of those methods are available from C#, F#, and Visual Basic.
And it's really important for people to actually learn the language a little bit more before they start looking at the platform itself.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, we did a Hello World. I installed the .NET Core SDK, and I ran it from the command line, and then I opened it up in Visual Studio Code. Do I have to install that stuff to say Hello World?
No, you don't anymore.
Okay.
We actually have something right in the documentation. If you go over to Quick Starts under C#, so C# Quick Starts, it will drop you right into the Quick Start page. And this shows you from the Hello World experience how to get started with numbers in C#, declaring variables. It shows you some really fun examples that you can start playing around with. So if you...
So I've got a .NET editor here in my browser. I'll go and copy console.writeline.
Or you can just click on the copy as well.
Okay, click on copy, hit run, and now it's running in the cloud, and it brought the result over here. So the .NET SDK is not installed on my machine.
No.
It is happening right here.
Exactly, and you can go in and edit that, and maybe...
So I can make changes to this kind of code, I can do whatever I want, and then the output will appear down here.
Absolutely.
And I can mess with, look at this, I can do all kinds of fancy stuff. So if I bring in really complicated code, and mess with strings. I can do that. And then follow through with some online challenges.
So it's actually designed as a complete challenge that's supposed to take 28 minutes at the very most, step by step, gives you examples of what needs to be done. The editor that's working in the browser right now is in preview, so if people see any bugs, they're more than open. We're really excited for you guys to give us any feedback there.
Sure, and then you can report those on the GitHub repository. And speaking of GitHub, in fact, all of .NET is open source, so it's important to remember that it is all on GitHub. So if you go to github.com/.net, github.com/.net, you'll come here to the .NET Foundation, and it is within there that all the source code is there. Now, as a beginner, you might not necessarily care about that source code, but it's just nice to know it's there.
Yeah, and they also do have samples within most of the repos that they can start playing around with.
Actually, that is a good point. It's all there. You can go and look at the Core CLR, and the docs themselves are also open source.
Yes, they are. So if you see any typos, if you see any options that you'd like to look at, you could do that. So if you click on the edit over there.
So I'm here on, for example, getting started with .NET Core,
and
you said click on edit. Where do I end up at? Well, I end up at GitHub. So I can be a contributor to open source by even fixing a spelling error or changing a bit of code that might be incorrect.
Exactly.
All right. All of this is under the .NET Foundation GitHub, and you can also check out the .NET Foundation at .NETFoundation.org. Oh, there you are.
There I am.
You just flew by there. So the .NET Foundation is a nonprofit, an independent nonprofit that tries to support the .NET ecosystem. All right. There's lots of open source projects that are within it. You can set up a local meetup or find a local meetup near you. We've got meetups all over the world.
Wow, literally all over the world.
We really do, actually. And there's one on every continent. And you also have a show called Code Conversations.
Yeah, the way thing about Code Conversations is it's 5 to 10 minute videos that we sit down with engineers or people working in different open source projects, and they tell us a little bit of how to get started on that project.
So you can check that out. That's on YouTube and also on Channel 9, which is our TV channel. And again, I want to encourage people to check out the meetups. There's about 1,200 different meetups locally, user groups, not locally, rather worldwide. You can learn open source. You can sit and find friends to code with. You can pair up. You can do all kinds of things. And if there's no one nearby you, you could even potentially Skype people.
That's actually a good idea. A
I tell
Skype
you,
meetup.
I do that all the time. I have lots of different opportunities where I sit with people and learn code and pair, but we do it remotely.
Oh, and you can do that with Skype interviews as well.
That's true. All right, so just a reminder, you can go to docs.microsoft.com, check out the quick starts to run your C# programs in the browser. Also a great way to maybe introduce your young people or new programmers to coding in C#. And then if you start at either GitHub or the .NET Foundation, you can jump off to all of these different locations. And then one other thing worth pointing out, as I just saw it fly by, was .NET Conf.
Yep. There is
probably
a
mention
lot of great content that came out of .NET Conf.
This was a conference in 2017, and you can go and check out the sessions for .NET Conf up here at .NETconf.net. There were 45 different sessions, about 45 hours of content that you can learn some of the more advanced techniques.
Yeah,
so when you're done here at Microsoft Virtual Academy,
Yeah.
you can maybe dig into that more advanced stuff.
Exactly.
All right, take a quick break. We'll come back and make a web application.
Yes, we will.